that, because in life, when we get older, so many people tell us no, or it won't work. It's the wrong economy, the wrong president, the wrong, the internet's too packed. And the more we get told no, the more we go, all right, let me play it safe. I'll stay at this job until I retire at 65, and then no, screw that. Playing it safe. At the end of your life, do you want to sit with your maker and go, hey, I want to let you know you gave me this great life, but I played it safe.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Intrapreneurship Facts, and today I have a very special guest for all of you. You can tell how excited I am. Dean Graziosi.
Good to be here, man.
Yes, he's the king of infomercial, and if you know him from probably 20 years ago, he was on American TV every single day, and I believe you did over $1 billion in sales, right? So, I let him introduce himself to you guys, and can you tell my audience, to those who don't know, a little bit about you and a little bit about your background?
Sure. Yep. First off, David, thank you for traveling all the way down here from Canada to do this interview. Secondly, I really appreciate what you're doing for the world. I know you started your Instagram page kind of for self-motivation, inspiration, motivation, but now you're impacting thousands and thousands of lives all over the world. You have over 1 million followers on your Instagram page. Start doing it the right way. And I just think it's awesome.
Thank you.
And everybody, you got to really listen to this and think through this. In today's world, we take it for granted that if we want to find inspiration, or if we want to find capabilities, or if we want to find a virtual mentor, we can go on YouTube and find a YouTube channel that resonates with our soul. We can find a podcast that aligns with our values and the money we want to make. We can find Instagram stories that are like, man, I love that, or I love those posts. 30 years ago, when I became an entrepreneur, 32 years ago when I started, there was none of that. Yeah. You couldn't even watch a video online. The dial-up modem was too slow. Yeah. So when I see someone like yourself, David, who's given back, who's inspiring and motivating through this new world, I say new, but it really is in the overall big scheme of things, I'm really proud of you for doing that, because you're not only creating an income and a livelihood for yourself, you're simultaneously giving back. And that's how I got into this space. And there's a lot of things I can share, but self-education, learning from others, was how I went from being, someone who didn't go past high school and didn't go to university or college, and I didn't have money to start. I didn't have a family who supported me. I found self-education. I learned from other people that were already doing it, but it was a lot harder back then. Yeah. Because the only place you could find knowledge was the library, and I had dyslexia, so I didn't like to read. So we could talk more about that later. So I really love what you're doing. For everybody watching, if you've ever seen my ads on Facebook or YouTube or Instagram or TV, it's really the delivery system for me to get my books, my courses, my trainings into people's hands. I feel like I'm blessed to be a multiple New York Times bestselling author. I've written some really great books, Millionaire Success Habits. My new one's called The Underdog Advantage. I launched a training course with my dear friend Tony Robbins called The Knowledge Business Blueprint, KBB. And maybe you've seen our ads for those, because that's how we can get in front of people, so we can get that knowledge in their hand. And, so many people say, oh, are you the YouTube guy or the Facebook guy or the infomercial guy? But really, no matter where you are right now, I just want to let you know, I understand and I feel where you're at no matter what. And I could say that pretty boldly for a few reasons, because I know what it's like to be broke and not know what to do with your life, and have envy of other people getting ahead. I know what it's like to not know where to start. I know there's more. I can give the world more. I'm smarter than this. I have more energy than this. I have more potential in this, but where do I go? I know what it feels like to be lost and not know where to start. I know what it feels like to not have the money to start, or the family support to start. I know what it's like to lack the resources, but I also know what it's like to be massively resourceful and get my first deal done and get my first business going, which to me was a firewood business, then a collision business, fixing wrecked cars. And then I fixed wrecked houses and rebuilt houses. And then I went into building houses. And then I went into the self-education space. I created an infomercial and a product that I sold on TV. Before the internet existed, I was selling my products on TV, and then evolved into there. So I know what it was like to struggle, worry, stress, have envy. I know what it's like to get my first deal. I know what it's like to get to $100,000 a year and be like, oh my God, I made it. And I know what it's like to get to $100,000 a quarter and $100,000 a month, and then lose everything again, and learn, and knowledge becomes wisdom. and know how to navigate different territory and come back and do $100,000 a week in sales, and then $100,000 a day, and then $100,000 before lunch. So I know wherever you are, I promise you I've been there. And if you're going to spend time with us right now, I want to deliver the value that can help take you from where you are to where you want to go. So I hope that helps start us off.
That's awesome. I love it. Okay, well, to get to where you are today, like you're multi-millionaires now, what do you think is the number one key to success?
Okay, yeah, there's so many great, something a dear friend of mine said once, his name was Randy Garn, he said, the little things aren't the big things. The little things are everything. So what I would say, if I'm going to pinpoint what I think is one of the strongest things, but the little things move the needle like a little hinge swings a big door. It's the little things in personal growth that you've heard before. Surround yourself with the right people. Gain knowledge from someone who's already been there. Don't listen to the skeptics. They never build a statue of a critic, right? Overcome obstacles. Focus on solutions. Surround yourself with people who make you want to be better. Like, practice gratitude. All of those things you've heard and will hear in your life. And a lot of times we dismiss those, David. We go, no, just show me how to make the money. Yeah. But what happens if you don't have that foundation of the right mindset or personal growth, the first time you hit an obstacle, or your family doesn't support you, or you run out of money, or the partner screws you over, you retreat and you go back to the job and you settle. And all I know is that at this phase, at 51, I've had more success than I ever could have imagined. I've started 13 companies. When I look back, people go, how are you successful with cars and real estate and books and courses and partner with Tony? You've done all these things. How do you, I own hundreds of houses right now. How do you do all those things and you're successful? It's because it was the little things. It's the little mindset. It's my morning routine when I wake up and practice gratitude instead of just looking at my phone. As crazy as that sounds, I promise you those little things will carry you through the hard times. Because what I've seen over and over, David, is a lot of people quit on the 5-yard line. I mean, that's a reference to football here in the States, but people march down the whole field and they go, I'm not going to make it. And they were almost there. And what carries you into the goal over the goal line, in most cases, is the mindset. So it's kind of vast, but the one thing is mindset. Feed your mind with it nonstop. But if you ask me, the one thing that carried me through is continually changing the story that I tell myself. And I know that, again, it's probably like, I heard that, change your story, change your life. But it's true, because I can remember when I said, I can't do this because I'm not smart enough, I don't have enough money, my parents don't support me, I just don't feel it. When I said that, that's the result I got. And then when I was able to shift that story and say, no, I'm going to make it because no one supports me. I'm going to make it because I have dyslexia. I'm going to make it because nobody believes in me. When nothing changed, my circumstances didn't change, my story changed. And then I fueled that story by surrounding myself with people who had proof of concept. And I guess to boil that down, don't wish for resources. Wish for resourcefulness, because resourceful people get the job done.
I love that. Just like the quote Tony Robbins always say, it's not about resources, it's about being resourcefulness,
yes,
right?
Exactly.
So I love that. So I know that you were born with privilege. You wasn't born in a rich family, and you've been you've been told that you're not going to succeed since you were young. So what was that key turning point that made your mindset switch, that like, hey, I know I can do this, and I believe I can do this. Even though I'm not there yet, I don't know whether or not I will achieve it yet or not, but what was that key turning point that made you realize that you can actually do it?
Yeah, really great question, David. I'd love to say I remember the moment or the epiphany. I don't know the time this happened, but I know for a fact what the answer is. And the answer is both of my parents worked really hard. My mom worked 3 jobs to make under $100 a week. My dad worked in a collision shop working on cars every single day. They both worked really, really hard. But what I was able to recognize is hard work did not equate to success. And when people didn't support me, I just remember thinking to myself, both my parents, they were married and divorced a lot when I was a kid. They divorced when I was 3, and they got married and divorced and married and divorced, and we moved all the time, and we didn't have money. And I just remember there was a point that I was getting advice from someone that didn't have it figured out. I love my parents, but they struggled financially, they struggled with their happiness, and they struggled in their relationships. So there was a point where I almost followed that path, because a lot of times our parents, and I love my parents, they did the best job they could, but there was a moment where I knew if I do what they do, I will get what they have. And then there was another time where, your life doesn't have to be struggle, but I remember a lot of my friends' parents went, and nothing, I'm not knocking college, but went to school, went to high school, then to university, went to college, and then got a job. And they had a pretty good job, and it paid the bills, and bought a decent house and a decent car, and put their kids through college. But they were miserable, and they hated not having the freedom to go to their kids' baseball games or the school functions or travel the world when they wanted to. And I'm like, okay, if I do what my parents do, I'm going to get what they have. If I do what some of my friends' parents do, someone else is going to control my life. And let me just say it frankly, I was like, screw both of those. I don't want to be like my parents, and I don't want to be like these other people. So the only thing that was left is I had to do my own thing, right? And I was young enough, they call you young and dumb. I was young and naive enough to just think I could do it.
Yeah.
You know that, like, we have to harness that, because in life, when we get older, so many people tell us no, or it won't work. It's the wrong economy, the wrong president, the wrong, the internet's too packed. And the more we get told no, the more we go, all right, let me play it safe. I'll stay at this job until I retire at 65, and then, no, screw that. Playing it safe. At the end of your life, do you want to sit with your maker and go, hey, I want to let you know you gave me this great life, but I played it safe. I think our maker, God, whatever you believe, would be so disappointed. They'd be shaking their head saying, no, I didn't want you to play it safe. I wanted you to be the best version of you. I wanted you to squeeze the juice out of life and go for it. So I hope that helps.
That's amazing. I love that. That's really, really helpful. All right. So you didn't go through the traditional education system.
Yep.
What is your thought on the current education system, and do you think it's still necessary for younger generation to go through that same thing again?
I don't want to come off as the bitter guy who didn't go to college, so the hell with college, right? If we didn't have colleges, we wouldn't have doctors that save lives. We wouldn't have architects that know how, like, college has done great things. The only problem I see, and this is based on statistics, not just my opinion, is college hasn't evolved as fast as the economy, as fast as technology, as fast as evolution has happened. We're growing exponentially, and schools are growing linear. And if you Google this right now, one of the biggest sayings is, by the time the ink dries on your diploma, the knowledge you learned is already outdated in so many cases. So what happens is, even in the school system, you can Google this too, the cost of schools, university colleges have risen 8 times faster than wages. So the cost of university is going like this, and wages are going like this. That's true. We have $1.5 trillion in college debt just in America alone, the highest ever before in history. We have a whole generation of millennials who went to school, have college debt, and they're not sure what to do with themselves, and it's developing a whole level of angst. So on the education system, I just feel it's antiquated in so many cases. And the world is realizing it. Ginny Romney, the president of IBM, said that forget blue collar and forget white collar. She wants to hire new collar, meaning people who go out and gain specialized knowledge. She doesn't care if they go to school. You just saw that ad that Amazon and Google and Facebook are hiring people without 4-year degrees if they have specialized knowledge. So let's just clarify the two. There's general knowledge, which is the traditional education system. And Napoleon Hill in 1937 in Think and Grow Rich said, general knowledge, no matter how vast, how wide, how much of it you get, never results in income creation. Specialized knowledge does, going deep, not wide. So let's just look at the 3 ways you could learn. And we talked about the traditional education system. I feel it's broken. It just didn't evolve, and we hope it does. But that's traditional, that's general, it's not really working. The other way to learn is through your own trial and error. And what happens a lot of time when people learn through their own trial and error, they make so many mistakes, or they can't afford the mistakes, or they can't afford the time, that they get discouraged and go back to either general knowledge or back to the job. But there's a third way. And I didn't know this third way existed. My guidance counselor in high school didn't know it existed, but that's self-education. And that's learning from other people who have already done it. Learning from people, non-professional teachers who have actually done it. So let me give you an example. My daughter's 13, and we always talk about college, and the truth is I hope she doesn't go. Most parents want their kids to go to college. I hope my daughter doesn't. but I don't want her to be a bum, and I don't want her to be like in the old days, no college, you're blue collar. That's BS. Those days are gone, because there's this new world. There's the knowledge industry. There's self-education, an industry that currently is at $455 million a day. Forbes says it's going to $1 billion a day. It's one of the fastest growing industries. People are saying the hell with trial and error, the hell with traditional education. I'm going to go over here to self-education. So that's what I said to my daughter. She loves design and being creative, loves artwork. I said, what about an interior designer? She goes, oh my God, that would be so much fun. So I said, her name is Brianna. I said, Bri, let me give you an example of how your dad thinks. And this is what I do every day of my life. I learned through self-education. I said, you could go to school for 4 years and get a business degree, and then maybe do an internship, and then maybe work for another company, and over 10 years you could figure out and start your own interior design business. That's how the world used to see it. Maybe in 10 years you could do it. I said, or we skip school. We find out how to gain the greatest specialized knowledge, not general, specialized knowledge. I said, what we'll do, and she goes, if I learn from it, you have to be a girl. I said, okay, great. Let's find the top 5 interior designers in America. Let's search, let's Google, let's find the 5 best. And then you and I will sit down and craft a letter to that woman, because you want to work with a woman, and say, I will be the greatest employee you've ever had over the next year for free.
Wow.
I said, you write the letter and say, I will be diligent. I will be self-motivated. I will solve problems. I will help you go faster. All I ask is I can work around you for a year and absorb your knowledge. And I don't want any money. I said, if one of those 5, you guys were comfortable with each other and you went and worked for the greatest interior designer, one of the top 5 in America for 1 year, what would happen when you came home? She said, I would learn everything that she did in 20 years and I could start my business right away. I said, then you know exactly where your dad's heart stands. That's self-education at its best. And the thing is, all of us, every one of you watching or listening, we have a capability. We have an experience we went through. Sometimes your worst experiences are the things people need more than anything. We have an expertise, a skill, a hobby, a passion that somebody right now is starting at day one and they need your information. So what Tony and I decided to do, Tony Robbins and I, is we wanted to create a process and a blueprint to help people extract what they know, share it with people, impact their lives, and get paid to do it in this industry heading towards $1 billion. So I know you asked one question about the school system, but that's my passion. And I'm going to jump ahead really quick here, or actually go backwards. The reason self-education is so important to me is because I remember sitting in my guidance counselor's office. Did you have a guidance counselor in school?
Yes.
Right. So I sat in my guidance counselor office. It was Maureen Canosa, great lady. But she said, you're not going to college. And I remember the disappointment on her face. She's like, oof. And her next thing was like, it was either college, and that was like the golden trail to heaven, or I should go apply at the only factory in town or work with my dad fixing cars. And she knew my dad didn't make a lot of money. So there was nothing in between. Mm-hmm. She didn't say, there's this other path, this other road called self-education. Yeah. Getting a mentor, getting into a workshop, getting into a mastermind, reading books obsessively. She never said that. And I remember feeling hopeless. And when I found self-education, it changed my life. And it was Tony Robbins who I first found. And then I evolved from there. But being partners with Tony and dear friends with Tony, he had the same exact experience, that same lonely, scary, don't know where to go, and he found Jim Rohn.
Yeah.
And when he found Jim Rohn introduced him into self-education. Mm-hmm. So we both feel like we owe our lives. We owe the income we make, the impact we get to make on self-education. And we really wanted to expose it to the world. That's why we went live last year. We had 200,000 people show up. It was it was the biggest online training in the history of the internet. It was amazing.
Yeah, I was part of that, and I can tell you, it was really amazing. I was so excited for that event. And all right, I believe you have something coming up next month, right? Yeah.
So February 27th. So we went live last year. Now we're coming up with their second annual live training on February 27th, where if anything we shared today, if you're someone that wants to start something new, if you're in a space that's just not comfortable for you and you want to transition, you want to learn marketing on another level, impact on another level. I'm not sure there's 2 people more qualified than Tony and I. We have 60 plus years experience in this space, impacting lives, making great money, changing the world. But it all starts with your first person. It all starts with the average person. And what we've done is shown the average person how to extract what they know, create and understand their superpower, attract people that want it, to give them money, impact their lives, and do it over again. We have people from 80 countries, 80 plus countries. We have every niche you could possibly imagine. I don't care if you cut hair, fly fish, play the guitar, teach people marketing, or you're just in marketing, you're an accountant, like every niche you could possibly imagine. If you've ever desired to create a new revenue, new income in your life, and do it in a really ethical way in an industry heading towards $1 billion a day, then go to, and we've got a URL for you. Go to davidskbb.com. That's davidskbb.com. You'll see Tony and I there. Register for the live training. Here's the truth. We only do this once a year. February 27th is the only day we're live. February 27th is the only day this training is free for probably 2 hours. We're bringing my special guest, my buddy Russell Brunson. My other dear friend Jenna Kutcher will be on with us. It's going to be spectacular. Last year we pretty much broke the internet, and this year I think it's going to be bigger and better. But it's only once, and it's live. So I'd encourage you to put it in your phone, write it on your hand, do whatever it takes.
Yes, David, DavidSkbb.com, just to make sure you guys got that right. All right, so you talk about specialized knowledge, but what if they don't know what the expert, like they might have a skill, but they just think it's something normal. They don't think it's anything special. They don't think it can be monetized.
I get it.
How can you help explain that to that person?
Okay, so two things. There's two answers to that. The first, I have to say, you're probably wrong. If you've gone through a really hard time in your life and you came out on the other side okay, there's somebody starting at that hard time that you could eliminate all that pain for them if you extracted what you know and let them know that you're available. So let me just give you an example. In the knowledge industry, that's made up of books and courses and coaching, and then what we do is masterminds, which could be a Zoom call, a Skype training, right? So it's made up of all of those, and they're all great. They've all changed my life, and they've all changed lots of people's lives. But Tony and I focused on the one section of the fastest way to impact someone's life through, like I said, online technology's changed. So we could do a Zoom, a Skype, a Facebook Live. We can do all these things, or you can do a weekend workshop at the local hotel or at your business, right? But in so many cases, people think, oh, well, I don't really have a skill. I haven't been doing something for 20 years. So let me give you two examples. I sat here with a girl who got KBB, and within 45 days, her life changed because she always knew she wanted to do more. She wanted to give back to the world, but she didn't know what is her skill. Well, she happened to go through a divorce, and they had a child. And she did such a great job of making sure that their child was the center of attention. It was a child-centered divorce. And she ethically and politely ended a marriage that wasn't working. And her son was thriving, and her ex-husband and her were friends, and they co-parented amazing. And she said it was really difficult. And she said the moment she got KBB, she knew that was her skill. She went through so much pain, and she realized there's so many people out there that divorce and it gets ugly. Now she's doing workshops teaching people how to politely divorce and make sure your child is the front and center. And she's having amazing success. But then there's also someone who says, well, I haven't even done any of that. I'm not even married yet. I barely got out of school. Well, then you could start out like Tony Robbins started, or I started. Tony Robbins started by being the reporter of other people's knowledge. He watched Jim Rohn enough that he went and just taught Jim Rohn stuff until he taught it enough until he became the expert. If you look at Tony's book, Money Master the Game, it's one of the best-selling financial books of all time. But Tony, even though he's great with finances, isn't the finance guy. What Tony did is became the reporter of other people's knowledge. He went and interviewed financial guys, gathered all their great data, and put it into one book, and then he becomes the reporter, and he could do a mastermind on it tomorrow, even though he's not that guy. So if you feel like you don't have an expertise, but this intrigues you, you'd love to make money by impacting people's lives, then pick a niche, obsess on it, be the reporter of it, and learn how to attract people that would pay you for that knowledge.
All right, that's really helpful tips right there. So another question is that what if they know that they might have something, they might have a skills or expertise, but they don't believe in themselves, just like we talked earlier. They might not have that right mindset yet. How do they acquire that
Well,
mindset?
that's why the magical combo is why this course legitimately is the greatest course ever created. It's become a movement, over 24,000 people all around the world. It's because of the magic of Tony and I coming together.
Yeah.
If you know anything about Tony, if Tony Robbins can't change your mindset, there's nobody on the planet that can. I mean, hands down. There's no better training. There's no better live events. There's nobody who understands human psychology, human emotions, and how to help people engage, change their state, and take action. So the beginning part of the course is all Tony, of getting you in the right mindset for action. That's why we're having so many results. And this year, the new course that's coming out, the new training you're going to have access to on February 27th, we added 4 more trainings from Tony that are just mind-blowing. I mean, when we were doing the trainings, I took 20 pages of notes just sitting next to him. So Tony gets you in the right mindset. So just picture you have the right mindset, and then all of a sudden you have the tactics from 2 guys that have been doing it for 60 plus years combined. Now you're fired up. You know how to overcome the obstacles. You believe you can. Your confidence is through the roof. And then we tell you how to extract your knowledge, how to identify what you're good at, how to build an agenda, how to attract people that are out there through social media. Instead of social media using you, use it to attract the person looking for that information, how to market and collect the money, and then how to run an online training, a Zoom call, or an in-person event. And when you combine all those together, David, that's why I think we're having more success than anything I've ever seen.
That's amazing. I love it. I had a peek at the course last year, and I can tell you, it's amazing. Like, it's the best training ever. So one more question for you. Yeah. So I have a lot of my audience, they are young, probably in the 20 to 25 years old, and they might be thinking to themselves that I'm way too young for this. Sure, I might have some skill, but I'm too young. What would you say to that excuse?
Yeah, well, Tony was 18 when he started, and his first event, he was hoping 500 people showed up, and 5 showed up. Here's the thing. Think how much of an advantage you have. Yes, it's amazing that we have 30 and 40 and 50, 60, 70, 80-year-old people getting involved in the course. You're in your 20s. If you happen to be listening in your 20s, you have such an unfair advantage. You understand technology more than any generation. You understand that the traditional way of making money is not what you want anymore. You're the first generation that says, no, I'm not doing what my parents do. I want my own thing. So you have desire. You have the ability to understand technology. You have the ability to understand social media, which all your clients are going to come through. And you have the access to our 60 plus years. So you don't have to have 60 years in this space. You can learn through general knowledge. You can learn through your own trial and error, or you can rob it from Tony and I. So you have the ability to understand how to extract knowledge for yourself, to share it, extract your own knowledge, partner with other people that have knowledge, but you're going to have the ability to bring in the right people and change their life because you are the generation that's making self-education the new norm. So here's the thing. If you're in your 20s and you're thinking, I'm too young, you're going to look back at this in your 30s and go, damn it, I missed it. And you're going to jump in anyway. But why not here's the way I look at opportunity. Opportunity is like a wave when it comes in from the ocean. You know how a wave comes in? Do you ever see surfers waiting to catch a wave?
Yeah.
Right? What happens when you miss the wave? It goes by and like, damn it, but there's other people who get out in front of the wave and they stand up and the momentum of the wave pushes them all the way to shore. That's where we're at with the knowledge industry. You have the opportunity to be in front of this wave and let it drive you right to the head of this industry. Or you could keep letting waves go by and in 5 years go, I better jump in now. And maybe you missed it. Maybe you won't have the momentum you can have today.
All right. So that's for the younger generation. What about someone who are a little bit more established? They probably have their own business, a hair salon or a real estate agent. How can they benefit from this?
Oh, well, that's the benefit of this is it can be a bolt-on to a current business. If my wife has been voted the top hairstylist in Arizona for the last 10 years. She is amazing at what she does. She does hair extensions. She creates incredible revenue. There is a line of people that want to learn what she does. And when we met, we've been together for 3 years, we got married last year. Literally, we're setting up a spot for her right now to share with other women how to do hair extensions. And even though she does really well financially, and she loves having her own business, will be exponential growth because instead of cutting hair or putting extensions in getting paid, now she can have 25 to 50 women in this room right next door where each of them are paying thousands of dollars to learn her unique ability. So she's saying, oh my God, this is how I can multiply my revenue. This is how I can impact all these men and women who want to learn how to do this. And that's how it is in every single niche. You have a skill that took you a year, 5 years, 10 or 20 to figure out. There's somebody starting at day one, and they will pay you to cut their learning curve. So it's a great bolt-on to any business that is out there.
Okay, that's amazing. Yeah, make sure to go join the free training on February 27th at davidskbb.com. All right, well, I have a few more questions for you, but let's go back a little bit up. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing what you're doing right now? Like, you have all the money in the world. Well, not like, but you have a lot of money that you could spend. Why are you continue working so hard every day?
There's two kinds of entrepreneurs. There's a lifestyle entrepreneur, and that's someone who makes, maybe it's $1 million a year and you can live your ideal life. And then they maintain that. And that's cool. I'm more of an accomplishment-based entrepreneur. So for me, this is the next mountain to climb. There are so many people out there in pain. They went to school, they can't find their way, and I felt that pain, and so did Tony. And this is our time to give back. I could bail. I could sell out of everything right now and never have to work again. But what would that life be? How many margaritas could you drink? How many vacations can you have? How many cars can you buy? Changing people's lives, impacting people's lives, seeing people get it and change. We have over 1,000 videos that have come in so far from KBB of people's lives changing. 1,000 videos. And that's just people that were willing to do a video and send it in. So it is addicting, and I'm sure you see it when you help someone get new capabilities, but it's addicting. It's something that needs to be done, and it's another mountain for us to climb.
That's awesome. I love that answer. Yeah. So, because entrepreneurship, like when I first get into entrepreneurship, it was all about like the money, you want to make money. But then the more I get into it, I realize, okay, entrepreneurship is more than that. Like when you start a business, you have the ability to impact other people's lives.
Absolutely.
And you make money when you're able to change their life and create the impact, create some value in their lives.
Yeah,
right?
you bring value to them and you get paid. What could be better than that in the world?
That's awesome. I love that. All right, so is there any last word you want to tell my audience?
Yeah, just if you're intrigued by any of this, get on that training. Go to davidskbb.com, register, and show up. Secondly, remember, we all come from different backgrounds. We are different colors. We come from different borders. We come from different economic backgrounds, different religions, different education. But at the end of the day, we're all the same. We really are. We all have a desire for more. We all want to tap into another level of ourselves. We all have a desire for impact. I've asked tens of thousands of people, if you could at the end of your life, you could only do one of two things: make massive amounts of money or make massive amounts of impact. Which would you choose? Everyone always chooses impact. This is an opportunity to do both. So we all have a desire to impact. We all have a desire to tap into our full potential. We all have a desire for more peace. We all have a desire for less stress. We all have a desire to take care of those we love. And I really believe this is one of those rare opportunities that can give you that ability to check all the boxes. So I think that's why it's become a movement. I think this will be the new biggest training ever in history. And we're only doing it once a year. So go to davidskbb.com, register, and we'll see you live on the 27th.
All right, thank you so much for your time, Dean. Like, even though I say this interview is for my audience, but I learned so much from it. It's more like for myself to learn from you. Like, thank you so much for your time, man.
I appreciate you. Thanks for coming down.
Thank you. All right, guys, go register to the training right now, davidskbb.com, and I'll see you on February 27th. All right, see you guys later.
Most people aren't going to succeed. And if you're going to be the exception, not the rule, you got to understand what stops people from succeeding. Most people don't live the life of their dreams. You know it, I know it. Most people in North America are not fit and healthy. They are not in the relationship they want, where there's love and passion sustained over decades. Most people are not earning what they want to earn. Most people are not as happy as they really want to be.
Trying to figure out my why. Why do I exist? What's my purpose?
I had no idea why I was working here. I was starting from scratch and I had absolutely no momentum.
I'm here because Dean and myself want to see you be able to have the same joy we have. This joy of being able to take what's inside your head or other people's heads that can really be useful and make it an enjoyable process for people to learn on their own, to tap this power of self-education from learning from people that know what they're talking about because they're producing the results consistently. It has nothing to do with biography. It has nothing to do with background. It has nothing to do with resources. Resources are not the problem. The problem is people are not resourceful enough. And so in this very first session, before we get into the content, you and I have to get really clear, what does it take to succeed? And the answer is massive, relentless action. And I've been obsessed my entire life with the few who do versus the many who talk, versus the many who have excuses, versus the many who have reasons why it won't work out. But reasons aren't going to get you where you want to go. Results come from an obsession with getting yourself to take action.
I created my first live event, an online subscription-based program, and I'm getting ready to go live in August.
I'm looking to open my first mastermind in about 2 weeks' time.
I know how to launch a good project. I know how to bring it to fruition. So that is what my mastermind is going to be about.
I wrote a book. I have an online course. I have launched more masterminds. I do weekly masterminds. I have a monthly one.
This is the perfect platform for you to discover precisely what you're capable of.
Really help others, make an impact. That's really what I want.
I'm in an industry where I've seen so many people come and go over the decades, and here I am 42 years later, and the difference is the ability to understand momentum. I would make a decision today about how you're going to play this game. If you play this game right, if you play this game for mastery, not dabbling, it's going to be one of the best investments you ever made in your life, but it's going to require you executing. Am I making sense? If I sound like I'm pushing hard on you, I am. It's because I want you to have the victories that you deserve. If you have enough hunger, then you have what it takes to make it happen, but you're going to have to get yourself in the right habits. And if you're watching this, you're either one of those people and want to dig it out, or you see those people and you want to bring their gifts to the world as your gift to the world.
If you'd like to join Tony Robbins and I for our special webcast training, click the link below right now and reserve your spot. If you'd like to learn how to take what you know, your knowledge, your expertise, your experience, share it with others, then you can't miss this training. Click the link below and reserve your spot before it's too late.